was just like a dead, silent work environment. And there was nothing but tables with microscopes and just another person in addition to my TA that was in that lab. And that's my mind. Something I just know, something was just whispering to me in my mind, like, this is going to be your work environment by the time you're done with school.
Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Think Nursing channel, where it's all about nursing, travel and lifestyle. And today, it's no different from any other. We're exploring the world of nursing, healthcare, and just hearing inspiring stories about nurses, individuals behind the scrub. So my name is Stacy and I'm a nurse, and I have a special guest here with me today. Her name is Pretty. Yes, Pretty. And we're just going to be talking with her, just hearing a little bit about her background and her world of nursing. All right, but before we do so, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would love for you to go ahead, subscribe, turn that notification bell on for more content related to nursing, travel, and lifestyle. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, remember to hit that subscribe button. All right, so welcome, Pretty, to the channel. And as I say, we will just go ahead and just talk a little bit about your journey. So I just want you to give the viewers, an idea of your background, where you're from, and then from there we'll get a little bit more into your world.
All right. Hey, hello everyone, and thank you, Stacy, for having me here today.
Okay.
It's indeed a pleasure to be here. A little bit about my background. Originally from Nigeria, and I relocated to the United States with my family in 2005. And I've been here, lived here ever since. Prior to becoming a nurse, I worked at the hospital as a medical assistant. So how did I even get into medical assistant in the first place? Was when we first relocated to the United States, because I was young, I was a teenager at the time, although I had already graduated high school in Nigeria. Prior to coming here, I was looking for a job. I applied to so many jobs, like so many retail stores for a cashier position, and I never got back from any one of them. And some of them actually, like when they asked me my age, and it seemed like I didn't quite reach the age cut off mark. They would, like, right before my very eyes, just put the application. Then we have paper application. It wasn't like computerized application. So they'll put the application in track, like right before my very eyes, because I wasn't up to like the age bracket that they were needing, like they were looking for. So that really kind of made me sad. And then I think it was my brother that saw this commercial for his school that they're supposedly going to train you to be able to work in a doctor's office. And I don't think that commercial had anything about like the title of the position that they were training you for. It was just that they were going to train you, you'll be able to work like very closely with a physician. And that was what actually sparked my interest. That was sounding like something that I, would like. So I went to, there was the address. There was a number to call and the address, and then I called the number and they asked me more questions, and then they said that I qualified, and then gave me the address and told me to come over. And it was when I actually got to the location, their physical location, I realized that it was a school, actually like an actual school. But I still wasn't sure of what the program was. And then after everything, I realized that it was like a medical assistant program, because prior to that time, I never heard anything about medical assistant. Like I said, mind you, I was new to America. I didn't know anything about medical assistant or anything, but I knew about CNA, certified nursing assistant, and I knew I didn't want to be a CNA. That was one thing I didn't want to do, because, I just didn't want to be a CNA. So, but medical assistant, and you could draw blood, the teacher had to give shots, do EKG, all of that just sounded good to me. And it was nothing like what I've heard CNAs do. So I said, I'd rather go this route than becoming a CNA. So I went to the program. When we first got into the program, they told us that, hey, we're gonna help you find a job. After you're done with the program, we're going to, help you with job placement. But when we were done with the program, we were literally left alone. There was no assistant with job placement. And I think it was by God's special grace that I was able to find my one and only medical assistant job, at a very reputable hospital here in Dallas that I worked for, throughout the time, for about 3 years before I transferred to the university to pursue my career, pursue a career. So I did that, did medical assisting, finished the program, got a job. Even though, a lot of people were telling me, they were trying to discourage me while I was in the program, hey, you're never going to find a job as a medical assistant. I know a lot of people who did that program, and they did it years ago, and up until this day.
Yeah, they
were not able to find a job. So you're just wasting your time, literally telling me that I was wasting my time and wasting my money because it wasn't free. I had to collect student loan for that program. So for some reason, I wasn't discouraged. For some reason, I just felt like my own story was not going to end up like other people's story. And I stayed persistent, and I, finished the program, did the exam, and as God would have it, with no assistance or no help from anywhere, I was able to land a job, like I said, at a very reputable hospital. And I don't want to mention the name of the hospital.
That's
here.
Fine.
And where I worked until I think I worked there for 3 years, because at the time, while I was working full-time as a medical assistant, I was still taking classes at a community college, right? Because at the time, I really didn't want to study nursing. I know a lot of people encouraged me to study nursing. I was like, no, I don't want to be a nurse. I really wanted to become a medical lab scientist. So
okay.
My prerequisites. Yes, I was enrolled. Yes, I was taking classes there. I was enrolled full-time there too. I took classes in the community college until I got a letter saying that I could no longer take any more classes. So,
so you were very persistent.
English composition 1, composition 2, biochemistry. No, I didn't take biochemistry there. I did general chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2. A lot of the science courses I took there, I'm trying to think of them, majority of the classes, and so there are plenty of them. I think it was up to 72 credit hours.
Wow. And that wasn't in preparation for your nursing. You had a different...
It was not in preparation for my nursing at all.
Okay.
Because if it was in preparation for nursing, I took organic chemistry, and I did not need organic chemistry for nursing. It was, like I said, it was in preparation for the medical lab science.
Okay.
That was my major at the time.
So how did you, at what point did you decide that, okay, then I'm not going to do that?
I'm going to get to that point.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to get to the point. Because my aunts kept encouraging me to go for nursing. She told me, once you're a nurse, your future is secured and everything. I was like, no. I'm already working at a hospital. I see what nurses do. I don't want to be a nurse. No. It's not for me and all of that stuff. But, and then I continued to take classes, right? At the community college, and then work full time. And then they sent me a letter that, hey, you've already exceeded the number of classes or the number of credit hours you can take at a community, because there's a limit to the number of credit hours you can take at a community college. So I got a notification when I got to that limit, and then they were basically saying that, hey, after this semester, you will no longer be able to take classes at a community college. So at that point, I liked UT Austin, so I transferred. I applied to UT Austin, and I got in. I got accepted at UT Austin. So it was at that point that I transferred from Dallas, and then that was the point I resigned from my job as a medical assistant here in Dallas, and then transferred to UT Austin. And then while at UT Austin, I continued, to take classes. I actually progressed to much more difficult, much more harder science courses like virology, immunology, all those conk science classes. And then it was during the course of while taking those science courses, you have to take them and then take a lab aspect of the science course. And then while I was writing one of my lab reports, I needed assistance at some point, and then I took my lab, the reports, to we have something called the TA, the teacher's assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and I took my lab report with me to the TA to go ask like for help with the lab report. So when I got into the lab, it was just like a dead, silent work environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing but tables with microscopes and just another person in addition to my TA that was in that lab.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my mind. Something I just know something was just whispering to me in my mind, like, this is gonna be your work environment by the time you're done with school.
You weren't ready for that.
Yeah, and then I just felt really sad in my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, because comparing my work environment, because as a nurse, because I worked as a medical assistant, and we worked closely with nurses.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, like, as a nurse, you had a patient interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was going to miss that. There was no way I could be like in a work environment where you just have to do like look at microscope all day. Comparing that work environment to the work environment of a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I would definitely do better
At that.
and be happier.
Okay.
As a nurse, then a medical lab scientist, I was like, no, it was at that point, that was a turning point for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that moment,
Mm-hmm. This is a pretty interesting story. So if you haven't subscribed as yet, remember, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on, and remember to give the video a like, a share, and a thumbs up. And as you can hear, she was always interested in becoming a lab scientist. And then, you know, based on her exposure, just by, you know, going to the lab, you know, where she'll be spending a lot of time studying, she made that decision that that wasn't the place for her. And that's how she transitioned into nursing. So we will definitely get back to her shortly, where we'll hear a little bit more about, you know, how that transitioning went. All right. And as I say, if you haven't subscribed as yet, remember to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment down below. Tell me what it is that you started out with, whether or not nursing was your passion or whatever area you're in, whether or not that's the area you wanted to venture into, or did you make a career change or something like that along the way. All right. And remember, if you want to be a part of the channel, feel free to go ahead and you can text me on the number that is in the comment box. And I will definitely give you another number where we'll call and, you know, have that interaction for the video. Okay.
hello, I'm back.
All right. Welcome back, Pretty. Let's continue.
Right,
No problem. All right.
So that's right there, just comparing the two work environment, you know, just was a turning point for me. It was at that point I changed my major, you know. I didn't care if those other science questions were going to go to waste. At that point, I was more, what was more important to me was my happiness. I knew I was going to be much more happier with a work and a nursing's work environment with that patient interaction. Because as a medical lab scientist, I will have zero, like no patient interaction at all, and I knew I was going to miss that. So it was at that point I changed my major and then started inquiring about nursing schools and what the prerequisites were. And at that point I discovered that I already had like most of the nursing prerequisites. I only had like 4 prerequisites left, and I was able to apply at that point. I think you didn't. At the time I applied to nursing school, I didn't have to have all of the prerequisites. I needed to have like a certain number. I cannot remember exactly how many numbers of prerequisites I need to have had, but I was at that point where I was qualified. Like I was qualified to apply.
Okay.
You know, and then still continue to take the rest of my prerequisites. So I went ahead and applied to just one nursing school. And the following semester, I enrolled for the remaining 4 prereqs that I had left, and that was how my nursing journey started. Even before I was done with when the following semester came, and I was working on the last 4 of my prereqs, I had already gotten an admission into nursing school. It was a conditional admission, right? A conditional admission offer, pending whether or not I passed the remaining, 4 prerequisites. And so when the semester ended and I passed and I had my grades back for those 4 remaining prerequisites, I just sent them over to the school, and then my admission offer was, the status changed from conditional to like a permanent admission offer. So yeah, that was how my nursing journey started.
Okay. So during that time, I know you say you moved from Dallas. Did you move permanently with your family, or it was just you?
No, I did not move permanently. It was just me. Just like a kid being sent off to college.
Okay.
So my parents were still here. My brother, everybody else was still here. It was just me that moved to Austin. At that time, when I was in Austin, I was just going to school like full time. I wasn't able to work anymore.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So you say you have 5 years of nursing experience?
No, I've been a nurse since 2013.
Oh, okay. So you've been a nurse since 2013. So what area of nursing have you been working in?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again? I didn't get it.
So you've been a nurse for 13 years. Tell us a little bit about the experience you've gotten so far, or tell us about that, the residency program that you have to do. Just explain a little bit about that for us.
Okay, so you know how you have like a residency program for new graduate nurses? I actually missed that window. So I missed it because I was planning during that period, like when I had just graduated from nursing school. My brother, told me that he was traveling to Nigeria. We haven't been back to Nigeria ever since we came to the US, right? So that by the time he told me that he was going to Nigeria, I thought it was a good idea to travel with him. So I went ahead and bought a ticket and everything. It was after buying the ticket, I had to retake. I'm like, hey, you just graduated from school. You have no money. Are you planning the trip? He said, no, that's not a smart idea. So I canceled the trip. But by the time I canceled the trip, I had already missed the window to get into the new graduate nurse
residency program.
So I was no longer able to get a job at the hospital. However, I got a job as a home health nurse, right? A full-time job as a home health nurse, caring for a pediatric home health company. So how I was able to transition back to the hospital was while I was working full-time with the pediatric home health company, right? I was working Monday through Fridays, and then I was off Saturdays and Sundays. So some Saturdays, I was able to pick up a shift at the hospital as an agency nurse. So I would just work just Saturday, like work per diem shifts, right? Through agency. So with that, I was able to, add to my experience, my nursing experience. But I only worked on the med-surg floor. It was very hard. It was very difficult because, as an agency nurse, when you go to the hospital, you don't get any orientation.
Yes.
And most of the facilities would not even show you around and show you where the supplies are kept. So you have to figure things out as the shift progresses. And that made it very challenging. It was very difficult. But as I kept doing it, it got better. And I didn't give up. Even though it was challenging, I stuck with it, and I did that for about a year.
Okay.
And then I was able to get that experience. And then luckily for me, I knew a lady that I knew a lady who knew someone who worked at a hospital. A friend of hers worked at a hospital. And it was through that, her friend, that I was able to get into a cardiac and stroke unit at a hospital. So that was my first hospital job since I got my first hospital full-time job, that I got since I graduated from nursing school. So that was how I was able to transition from home health nursing to hospital bedside nursing, since I graduated from nursing school, because I missed, like I said, I missed that
that residency program.
The residency program window, yes.